G'day guys, my name's Tom. This is a patrol. This is a brace kit. Let's brace this Nah, in all seriousness though, what we're doing today is I'm going to start prepping for some bracing. So I do have a qualified welder doing this bracing, and if you guys are doing it at home, I really suggest you consult like an engineer or welder or something like that, just to make sure that it is safe, because we are modifying the chassis here. So very excited to get this done, because it not only strengthens it, but it also looks insanely sick. So I'm pretty keen to see it on there. I'll show you the kit first. So this piece here is going to go on the outside of the chassis, just on that S-bend there. This piece here goes on the inside. So these are 4mm steel plates, precision laser cut, bloody water jet cut, whatever they are. They're really nice. From PSR. I will link them down below if you guys want to have a squiz. So what I'm going to do is start prepping this so the welder can come in tomorrow and just whiz through it. It's a great way to save money. Do as much as you can. It's easy to prep, let's put it that way. The welder's going to come in, work his magic. Do have to cut the tray mounts off. I've already sort of dummy fit a couple. Got to cut the exhaust mount off, little things like that. So firstly, I'm going to dummy fit these one more time, just make sure that I do need to cut off what I am going to cut. And then we're going to start sort of cleaning up just around the edges so we can get a nice bead of weld. He can get a nice bead of weld on there. Sick. Alright, so I'll show you the plates. These things are 4mm steel. They're really nicely cut. They just look awesome, don't they? So this one here goes right about there. So I have actually nibbed this mount, but I did realise that when I put the plate on the other side that this mount actually has to go. So I'm fine with that. My Navara only has 2 mounts on it. This has 4, bit of overkill. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to clamp it on there where I'm happy. I'm going to run my texter right round so I know exactly where to start flap disking, or like removing the paint so they can weld. And I'm going to get about a 5mm border of just like clean steel around this, just to make sure that they're going to get a nice penetration on their weld. So pretty happy with that. Looks sick. And I'm going to start by cutting these mounts off, I think. Alright, so the one that goes on the inside of the chassis, basically tuck these lines up. I'm going to block them out the way when he does it, but that pretty much sits there. So you can see, I don't know if you can see actually, but this mount has a folded over tab on it, and the folded over tab's actually clashing with the plate, so that's why it has to go. But that's pretty much where that's going to sit. So I'm going to cut these off first. On the other side there is the exhaust bolted on there, so I'm going to have to cut that off as well. Like just the mount for the exhaust, not the exhaust itself. But should be pretty easy to just prep this up for him, and it's going to save me some money and some time for him. So let's get into it. Bye. That piece is off now, but that actually leaves this like little skin thing that it's welded to. So I do actually need to get that off because it's clashing on the other side. So that was the easy part. Well, the battery grinder wasn't doing the right job, so I've gone to the power tools. That's the first one off. Just trying not to nick the chassis at this point, but ended up getting there, and I haven't nicked the chassis, which is good. So all I got to do is flap down those cut-offs. But before I do that, I'm going to move on to the next one and get that one off. So that was very painful, but managed to get them off. So now I've just got to flap this back, all these little sharp bits, make it all look nice, and then we can start mocking up the plates. Mint. So finally got one done, one side done, all flat back. Just gonna hit it with some paint in a bit, and she's mint. So now I'm going to move on to the other side, which I also have the exhaust hanger weld things to cut off. So I'm just going to do that off camera because it's boring. So Here we go. Alright guys, so I'm pretty happy with that. Those tray mounts are gone. If I do decide that I need another tray mount, like say if we build a really heavy duty and we want to go tour, all that sort of stuff, I will put another mount back in, but right now this is the easiest option for me. So anyway, that being said, that's done. Painted, just painted the top just to stop the rust settling in. And I just said settling, I'm from England. So that sits good on there now. Sits real good. So the last step just for tonight is to actually just put these on and trace around them. I'm probably not going to wire wheel this back tonight just so the rust doesn't like get in there somehow. I think you got about 3 hours with raw metal until you start getting problems, but I'm just going to draw around them, and that way when the welder comes tomorrow, he knows exactly where to start flapping back, and we can just go from there. So yeah, I'm going to grab some clamps and I'm going to clamp this on. I don't know how I'm going to do this by myself, but I'll have a crack. Now that that's on there, it's not like these aren't done up super tight, so I should be able to just sort of move it around as I like. That's kind of clashing there. So just making sure we've got a nice even gap the whole way. It's different here just because of the thickness of the chassis, but alright, so I'm pretty happy with where it's sitting. I've got a nice even edge under here. There's no real big gaps. There's a little bit of a gap there, but nothing that a clamp's not going to pull up. So I'm just going to start marking it. I've got a red paint pen, which is perfect. Oh yeah, that's pretty much it. So you take this off. So if you weren't doing this, I wasn't doing this, you paid labour the whole time for someone else to do this for you. Well, now we know tomorrow when he rocks up exactly what to grind out. You can see the lines are nice and even there. So she's what do you call it? Mint. Right, so I've got all of it traced along there on the insides of both, and obviously on the other side there. So that means that we are done for tonight. The welder's coming tomorrow. I'm pretty sure he's booked in for tomorrow. Check this out. How sick is this? Bam. Superior's coil tower brace. 5mm plate. Look at that. Damn. Looks insanely nice. So happy with that. Obviously it's not mounted properly, come on guys, but you know, looks pretty sick I reckon. In all seriousness, that coil tower brace as well as these weld on chassis parts, it's just going to make this chassis so much stronger than it was, and we need the strength because we're doing some crazy stuff with it. Tomorrow when the welder comes, all we're going to have to do is just flat disc this little line here. He's going to lay a fat weld on it, and it's going to be absolutely mint. So yeah, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. I don't know if the welder tomorrow is going to want to be filmed, so you might just get like an update with all the plates done. I am going to give him a hand to do it, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to film it or not, but either way, I'll catch you guys soon, eh? Right guys, welcome back. It's actually a couple days later now. So what I've had done is I've had the plates welded on, the inside and the outside plate that you just seen in the last video, and I've actually just finished painting. Look at that. That plate looks absolutely mint. So it's that on both sides and on the inside there. You can see that looks bloody amazing. So I actually found something out about this stone guard, and that's that you do actually need to paint over the top of it. So I can't really touch this because it's wet. I literally just painted it, but if I dig my nail into this after it's dried for 24 hours, it's still really rubbery, and you can actually sort of peel it off. So I actually read the instructions, which is really weird for me, but I thought I'd better do it because, you know, I'll stuff it up otherwise. But you do need to apply an acrylic lacquer over the top of it. Pretty much, once this is dry, so I'm gonna have to leave this for tonight because I've literally just painted it, but it does look mint anyway. But once this is dry, I do need to go over the whole chassis with probably about 17,000 cans of this. So that's all right. What it does is actually hardens it, like it turns it sort of like an eggshell feeling rather than like a rubberized feeling. So I'm pretty stoked actually. I did a test piece before and I'm pretty stoked with how this turns out. So from here, I'm actually gonna have to leave you guys with it for another night, but I will be back tomorrow to paint this stuff. So I'll see you then. Alright guys, welcome back. It's a couple days later and I have a bit of a confession to make. I have been working on this off of the lens, off the camera, but I sort of had some spare time, so I just thought I'll get it done, not film it because you guys have watched enough painting in the last video. But like I was saying, we have to go back over this to give it that sort of hard texture to it, like so it's not soft and doesn't peel off when I pressure clean it and all that. So I've got that done. I sprayed it with this stuff here, the acrylic lacquer, and it turned out honestly awesome. It's taken it from like a matte finish to like a real glossy finish. You can see there. Forgot to say, I also just then have gone right around the chassis and used this knockout rust. So basically in all these little crevices like that, just been spraying this stuff. It's like a tar sealant thing. So I've just been basically for like a good hour I've been doing that, and it comes out, where's a rag? It comes out like this, like a real thick tar. So it's meant to be really good stuff. I've used about 1.5 cans on just about every part of the chassis that I could stick the nozzle in. Where we're at, we are pretty much braced inside and out, all finished up. How good does that look, honestly? Where that leaves us now is to quickly try and chuck, I say quickly, but I already know these coil towers bend. I can just see by looking at them. Very common problem with these GQs is that the coil towers bend up this way. So, you know, I can tell straight away because they're supposed to be dead flat. Can you see that one? He's sort of like lifted up a little bit. It's not that good. So this might take a while, but I'm gonna have to try and get them as straight as possible before we bolt the superior coil tower brace in. I'm very excited for that because it's going to like break up the black. It's going to make it look sick. It's going to give us somewhere to put the remote res. So yeah, sort of get stuck into that. The plans are I'm going to probably try and lift the back end with the forklift, take off the shocks, pull them out the way. That's going to allow the diff to drop even more, and then I'm going to hopefully be able to bash the coil tower down, probably with a rubber mallet. It's gonna stuff up my paint, but that's all right, and try and get that bolted on. So first step is to get these coils out. So real quick, just wanted to show you guys, got a straight edge, just an aluminium ruler. She's pretty stiff. So these coil towers are supposed to be bang on with each other. So if you can see, I'm putting that across there, and then you go across to the other side, and she's got a bit of a gap there, so you guys can see that. That's dead straight on there, which means she's on the piss, as they would say. So I'm gonna have to try and get them down, but we need to take the weight off the coil first before you can even attempt to try and straighten them. Let's get the forklift in, lift her up, have a crack at trying to do this. Whew, so I just spent a hot minute getting these shocks off, but oh, that was this one especially was so seized on. But removed the lower shock mounts on both sides. That side, this side here, let's see if you guys can see. This side here, where is it? It's just a little bit flaky and rusty, so I may need to like put a sleeve on that or something. If you guys have any idea what to do with something like that, let me know, because yeah, I sort of want the shock to fit very nicely over that stud there. So anyway, it's time to get out of here. Alright, so it's time to finally lift it up and try and pull the coils out, and it's going to be smooth. We're not going to have any drama like we did with the shock. You can see there, that is one coily boy. So I'm just going to quickly pull them out, and then we can start getting everything in place to bolt that superior coil tail brace on. Coils are out, so I'm just going to quickly paint the bottom hats and the top hats, and so I'll just do that real quick, but then we can start dummy fitting everything up. So the coils are out. I've painted the bottom and up underneath the top hat, let that dry for a bit, and I was just sussing out this brace, and she is a thick boy. I'm actually so keen to put this on, but as you can see, or as you probably can't see, it is dead straight. So before I even try and lift the 8mm plate up there, I am going to just try and massage them back down to be in sort of square. So just sort of thinking how we're going to actually tackle these sort of bent up towers. I think the best way, honestly, because they're not like ridiculous compared to what I've seen, but the best way is going to be to actually bolt one side of this down. So if you can imagine it, it'll kind of go up about 40mm. And I'm actually just going to try and stand on the other end and try and get one bolt in. That way it's just going to sort of conform itself to the perfect amount. I'm not going to overbend it, I'm not going to overhit it, I'm not going to make it any weaker. It's just going to bend down perfectly, bolt up, and once again, Bob might be your uncle for that one, so let's get it happening. So I'm thinking about bolting it to this one just so I can slide it under these brake lines, and then like I said, stand on it, bring it down to that one, and yeah, that should be on there very shortly. Just taking off the brake proportioner valve here, just to allow, going to allow that to just get a little bit more movement. I'm going to try and slide it in now, because I'm going to need a hand from Alicia, so she's here to help. Alright, so you can see that's sitting in place, but when I press down, as if you're going to get those bolts in, you see the gap under there? So that's how much we're bent by. But what I'm going to try and do is quickly bolt that down and press that down. I think I've explained that a million times. But so I got one bolt in. We might actually, oh, by the way, the bolt goes up from the bottom and the nut goes on top, as far as I know, and a washer on each side. But we might actually get this. Like, this tower isn't that badly bent. It's just going to be like a case of just these little ones over here, just a tiny bit bent. But how you going with that one?
Can you push the brake lines over?
Yeah, better help. How's that? So I've got 3 at the bottom, 3 at the top, 3 at the bottom, and 3 at the top. So we're actually going to get it. All we have to do is tighten that up, and it's going to pull the coil just down that little bit that it needs to go. But there's only a small gap under there. I honestly thought the coil was the coil towers were a lot more bent than what they are, but that looks absolutely mint. Alright, so I'm just about to tighten all these bolts up. I think I'm going to go the outside ones first, and then tighten the outside ones to pull it down, and then tighten the front ones to pull the tip down. So I'm going to do the outside two, then just work my way in. It's literally bought those towers flat, just doing that. So you can see there's no gap on that side, and there's no gap on that side. So that's pretty much bought it flat already. Perfect results. All right, I'm gonna quickly get this done and then party time. All right, so I've just finished fitting the anti-chafing pad, which is this bad boy here. So it just stops your brake lines sort of rubbing, brake and fuel lines rubbing on the metal. But I did manage to screw that down. These, I don't know what I'm going to do with these yet. They're sort of tight there. Wouldn't mind getting maybe making something to wrap around there and hold it. But for now, that is on. Chafing pad's on, nice and square. Actually, it's not really square, but anyway, it looks sick. I'm going to pop these coils back in, pop the shocks on. I've got to clean up the bolt on that shock a lot. It's got some rust on it and some corrosion. I might have to honestly sleeve that when I get new shocks, but anyway, I'm going to put these back in, bolt the shocks back on, and give you a quick little update when I'm done. Right, so as you guys can see, this is the shock mount bolt. She's pretty well rusted out, so if anyone has a solution to repairing that easily, let me know. But for now, I'm just going to wire wheel that and inox it so this goes back on easy, because these were ridiculously hard to get off. Just when you think your days of wire wheeling are over, find a rusty bolt. Alright guys, so we are actually done for tonight. How sick does that look? We've got the Weld-On PSR kit, brace kit I should say, and the Superior Coil Tower bolt-on brace kit. Both absolutely awesome. They add so much strength to the car. So keen to get this thing done. And also the chassis all painted up like that with that sealant on it, like I explained. Makes it hard as a rock. She's almost cured now. It's pretty hard. But anyway, it looks absolutely insane. It's come so far so quickly already, and I can't wait to keep going. But tonight, that's it. So if you guys would like to see more, please consider subscribing. If you like the video, please like the video, and I will see you on the next video, hopefully back in the shed working on this thing.